Welcome back to another episode of Magic's in the Mess, the go-to podcast for ambitious women ready to stop pretending, start aligning, and finally build success your way. I'm your host, Danielle McKinley, speaker, business and wealth strategist, and your go-to problem-solving hype girl. Here, we'll help you unlock powerful mindset shifts, discover your magic, and bring your dream life into reality. Each week, I'll deliver raw stories, proven business strategies, and powerful transformations with industry leaders to activate the magic in you. So if you're ready to ditch the pressure, the performative BS, and the noise telling you who you should be, hit subscribe and let's make some magic. Today's magic maker is living proof that when you start healing from the root, everything changes. Your health, your energy, your mindset, and your mission. I am so excited to introduce you to Nicole Ritter. She is a board-certified holistic health practitioner, holistic nutritionist, and founder of Ritter Functional Health. She began her own journey 6 years ago when she was battling debilitating migraines, chronic sinus infections, depression, anxiety, and hormone imbalances. Instead of settling for surface level answers, she dug deeper and not only healed herself, but turned her story into a powerful mission to help others thrive. Nicole's all about helping people find the root cause of their symptoms, and this conversation is going to light you up. Whether you're navigating your own health mess, trying to keep your energy high as a mompreneur, or just ready to feel more aligned in your body and business, Nicole brings the tools, the truth, and the transformation. So Nicole, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thanks for being a magic maker and willing to share your magic with us.
Thanks for having me on.
Yes. Should we get into it? Should we jump into some fun?
Let's jump in. I have no clue what we're talking about, so just ask me whatever.
We're going to talk about the messy shit that created the magical life that you now live. And I know that a big part of that stemmed from your health journey and advocating for yourself and really figuring out, like, why the hell do I feel this way?
Yeah.
So let's start there. But if you can pinpoint, because there's a lot of people that feel like shit right now.
Yeah.
Right. And especially if you're like late 30s, early to late 40s, in that age, things are changing. So do you remember the moment that you were like, something's wrong and I got to do something about it?
Yeah. It was when I was young. I was chronically, just like a little backstory about me, I was chronically ill in my late teens and early 20s. I had chronic strep throat. I got my adenoids and tonsils removed and then got strep throat afterward. Just like caught every illness under the sun. When I was in my 20s, I had chronic migraines, depression, anxiety. I got diagnosed with PCOS and chronic sinus infections. I had 2 sinus surgeries. And that in and of itself was messy, right? Like being sick and having that be your identity is awful. It's something that like is not only messy, but it's depressing, right? Like I didn't feel well. I was in grad school. I missed a lot of grad school classes, like because I didn't feel well. And I remember the moment that I was like, something has got to change was when I was in my neurologist's office for like the 50th time, begging for help with my migraines. And she said that there was a drug rep that just came. There was a new drug. Try this. If it doesn't work, try this. And then she ended up putting me on 30 days of prednisone, which is a steroid that just, I was like a zombie when I was on that. And I remember being like, wow, like, is this how I'm supposed to live? I'm so young, like 20s are in your prime. I would go out and literally drink and black out because of all the medication I was on. And obviously I was drinking way too much. I shouldn't have been drinking.
Sure.
And my life was not only messy, like personal life messy, professional life messy, but I was miserable. And I knew something had to change when I was in the doctor's office and she just handed me another pill. And I was like, what? Like, this
like, was that your like light bulb moment where you're like, I'm not taking another freaking pill?
Oh yeah. But I was so desperate and I had no clue there were other options. So I took it.
Okay.
And then I didn't know what functional medicine was. I had no clue. I didn't know it. I thought like nutrition was like, if you had an illness, you go to a dietitian and they give you a meal plan. Like I had no clue. And it just wasn't, I was eating gluten all the time. I lived off donuts. I was like a donut.
My daughter would love you. She would be your bestie.
Well, now I can't eat donuts. But
that version of you, she loved.
She loved donuts?
She loved that version of you in your donut eating era.
Well, yeah. And like, I was really fun. I was drinking all the time, but I was miserable inside. And that's the thing. I like
Mm,
put on this like facade of like, oh yeah, like I'm a fun party girl. But my anxiety and depression were out of control. I was medicated
sure.
heavily for both. My ADHD was raging, was also on medication for that. And then all these different health problems.
Do you feel
Started.
like you were consciously aware of the fact that you were wearing a mask? Or was it only in hindsight that you were like, oh my gosh, like I was struggling way more than I acknowledged?
I remember, so my husband and I met when I graduated college in 2012, June
Hmm.
3rd, 2012. He worked at ADP. That was my first job. We were in outside sales, and he was like one of the only people at the office. And so he
Okay.
has seen me like through all of the different versions of me and
Mm,
loved me through them all. And I'm so grateful for him because I mean, there was a part, I don't talk about this a lot, but like there was a time in my life like I didn't want to live. I thought it would be easier just
mm,
to leave, and he's just been with me through everything. And I remember we were at a bar in downtown Baltimore. We used to live in downtown Baltimore, and we were drinking, and I just looked at him, and I was like, I'm miserable. Like I don't like
mm.
this. I all we did was go out. I didn't know we were going to like talk about this stuff, but it's
Mess. We're talking
important.
about the mess.
Yeah, it's important. And I was like, I'm not fulfilled. I was in grad school for mental health counseling. I didn't like it. I didn't like my friends. I didn't like who I was because I didn't know who I was. I was
Mm,
so clouded with
mm,
drinking, being hungover, having like shame and regrets from like whatever I did or however I
mhm,
acted from drinking.
mhm.
And then I was also on all, like this cloud from the medications. Like when you're on 7 different medications, you don't have like a real personality. So
Yeah.
I'll never forget that. And he was like, "What do you mean? Like you have a ton of friends, you go out all the time." And I'm like, "No, like this is not a life I want to live."
Yeah.
And we ended up moving to Colorado, and I basically like started my life over. Um, I mean, that sounds dramatic, but like really, like I had no
No, I mean,
friends.
yeah.
Yeah, I had no friends here. My husband had some friends here that are great that we hung out with, but I like started everything over. I started my business here. I started in a new career. I quit grad school, which was really messy. Like
Yeah.
quitting grad school and going into a field. My dad's a doctor. My grandparents were doctors. Like we're a very medical family. Going into a
Yeah.
field that like literally goes against medicine, like
Mhm.
modern medicine, was really messy. And I had so much shame over it. I was like, this is what I want to do. But I felt like I constantly had to prove myself. I
Yeah.
worked too hard. I took on too many clients. I
Mhm.
burned myself out because I was like, I have to prove myself. I have to be in this podcast. I have to be in this publication. I have to do this and like have so many testimonials to prove to modern medicine that like I am worth it and that
Yeah,
I'm
that outside validation.
yeah,
Mhm.
which
So many
sucks.
but so many of us have been there.
Yeah.
I think everyone's if I think to say you've never experienced that, I feel like would be a lie. That's like
Mhm.
you're covering something else up. I've been there.
Yeah.
Everyone's been there where you're seeking that outside. So kudos to you for recognizing it, and making a change. Because I only know you as Happy Nicole in her authentic self, nurse
Yeah.
practitioner, freaking baller thyroid boss. And that's why I love this stuff because you wouldn't be that person if it
Right.
wasn't for all of the points that you just shared and plenty others along the way, right?
Yeah. And
So
it's so interesting too, because if you had met me 10 years ago, you would be like, I do not want to have her on my podcast. Like I just didn't know who I was. And I think like, and I was just on a podcast earlier, like an hour ago, and we talked about like the
Mhm.
difference between like external and internal validation.
Yeah.
When you're confident in yourself and you're confident just like in who you are as a person and also as like an entrepreneur, the business and like the whatever you're providing,
Mhm.
you don't need external validation.
Yeah.
And it changes everything. Like I am truly happiest like being and I love being an entrepreneur, but like making my home, like, making food for my family. Like I love that. And like
Yeah.
taking time out of my day to like I'm obsessed with gardening now. Like it's my new hobby.
Oh,
Like
give
that
me
it
all the
brings
tips. That's a sidebar conversation.
oh, it's so much harder than I thought, but it is so valid, like not validating, but it just brings so much joy. And
Mhm.
I can't even remember the last time I went to a bar. Like we host people. I barely ever go out to dinner because I'm very
Yeah.
particular about what we eat. But we're still like we have friends and we have really good like I have really good friendships, but it's so different now than it used to be. Like we don't get together to drink. Like
Yeah.
we
You
get
up leveled.
together what?
You up leveled. You had to you shed those people that only want that version of you, and the people that support who you're changing, those are the ones that come, and sometimes nobody comes when
Yeah.
you become closer to your authentic self.
And that I think when you're young is so hard. I got married at 27 and then like had to shut a lot of friendships and it was hard. I mean,
Mhm.
it was and I think they didn't like I didn't even know who I was, so I was like why should they be like sad about that or mad? Like who even were
Yeah.
they friends with? But the older you get, like the more you realize time is so precious. Like
Yeah.
we could like hopefully we don't, but like we could just die tomorrow. Like
Yeah.
something
The
could
reality is like there is a clock that's ticking and we never know when the timer is going to go off.
right. So
And
like
that's just facts.
it's facts. So why waste it with people who like don't bring out the goodness in you and just are
Mhm.
easy? Like all my friendships now are they're so easy. I love them. I adore them. I can confide in them. I feel like safe around them. And I think when
Yeah.
you're like young and they like, cheer on, like they genuinely want
Root for you.
root for you, like,
Yeah.
want other people to succeed. And in your 20s, it's just like friends out of convenience and friends who are just like
Totally.
want to go to the bar.
Like this is those episodes, those podcast episodes where you're just like the whole time you're like, that's me. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. Like there's so much relatability into this short amount of time we've already
Mhm.
been together. And so I feel like when that happens, my favorite thing to do is to speak directly to the person that is in that. So if you could go back to one of the messy moments and tell yourself something that you now know would have helped you faster or something like that, what would it be?
I would say for me personally, stop drinking. I mean,
Mhm.
that was a part of my life that like ruined a lot of things. And I've literally never talked about it before publicly. Um,
Okay. Thank you for
but like,
sharing.
yeah, of course. I mean, I think like drinks with friends, like a glass of wine or something. But I was on medication that literally said like, don't drink on this. And I would black
Yeah.
out, which is scary and
Yeah.
awful and not safe. So I would say like, just and one of the other reasons I drank was because I was so unhappy. So it was like a coping
Mhm.
mechanism. So I would say
Mhm.
get help earlier. I don't think I was an alcoholic. I didn't,
Sure.
identify with that, but just like get therapy or find value and find happiness in something else so that you can
Mhm.
focus your time on that and just stop caring what other people think. I
Love it.
love like Mel Robbins' let them theory. Like they're
Yes.
going to talk shit about you anyway. Let them stop worrying about it.
Yep.
Stop having anxiety over it. And who cares what other people think? Because they're not their thoughts and shit talking is not going to, I mean, you can't hear it,
Mhm.
first of all, and they're going to do it anyway. But also, it's not going to make or break what you do with your life. Like you have to decide to be happy. You have to work to be happy. I truly
Yeah.
think like Lori Harder's podcast, Earn Your Happy.
Yeah.
Um, that she was like pivotal, like at my lowest of my
Oh, I
lows.
love that.
I love her. I listened to her podcast and I was like, okay, I'm going to be happy and I'm going to be healthy and
Mhm.
I'm going to be successful. I'm going to be those three things and I have to work for it.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, just find something that like or someone like Lori poured into me without she didn't even know me,
Yeah.
right? And I listened to her
Mel
podcast.
Robbins is my Lori.
Yeah, yeah.
It's funny because you mentioned both of them, and I love Lori Harder too. She's
They're
amazing.
I
Mel
mean,
Robbins just like she was my like through hard times, she got me through some shit.
yeah, I just discovered her like this year, so I'm kind of behind on her. But she's great and I wish like I don't think I started listening to like self-help stuff and health
Mhm.
stuff until like I was in my 30s because I was like, ugh, that's stupid. I wish I would
Yep.
have listened to it in my 20s.
Well, and it's, so a lot of what you're saying comes back to being your own source of happiness.
Yes.
Right. So when you can figure out how to stop letting outside validation define your worth and define like, oh, I got all the likes or I got all the invites and
Mm,
that's why I'm good. And that's where I find my joy and my worthiness from. That's when you can find your authentic self. And
yeah.
once you find your authentic self, you don't need outside cheerleaders. They're nice. We all want them. It's great
Right.
to have people that are rooting for us, but to not need that,
Mhm.
that's where you unlock true happiness, I think.
100%. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's hard when, that when you're young, I think everyone has FOMO, and now I have JOMO, joy of
Jomo.
missing
Oh
out.
yeah, Jomo is my
So like,
jam.
okay, don't call me today. I'm cooking dinner, and then we're gonna watch a movie,
Yeah.
and we're going to sleep at 9. But it's just, and that's another thing too. Like, I'm very happy with our life, and that, like, I love my husband, I love my son. Like, I'm really happy with the home that we've built, and
Yeah.
that wasn't the case when I was younger. So I think it takes time and it takes effort from really like,
Well, and you have to be willing to look at parts of yourself that you've maybe been masking,
yeah.
that are scary, that don't feel good.
Mhm.
And but if you're willing to dig into that mess, you can uncover the magic.
Yeah.
And I believe that literally wholeheartedly. And fun facts, total tangent, but
Yeah.
I feel like I have to tell you this because I'm a Jomo girly myself. So one of the biggest mistakes I ever made in business, I trademarked FOMO. And
What?
I missed the renewal because I didn't know what I was doing and didn't have a team that was on it. And I lost FOMO. And I have kicked myself in the ass for not coming up with JOMO. So
Oh
I
my
just
gosh.
needed
So
to
wait,
tell you that.
how does that work? You got paid every single time someone used that word?
I would have if I didn't. So I created it before FOMO. I have the receipts. I can prove it.
Oh
But
my
I
God.
have everything before FOMO was like a thing. So like I was a former party girl myself.
Yeah.
My condo was in Old Town Scottsdale, and it like on
So
Facebook
fun.
we're aging ourselves now, but you would like check in on Facebook. You would
Yes.
check into FOMO Central. That was my house.
That is so cute. And you trade, because you are such a good businesswoman.
Well, I didn't
Well,
have money then, and so I went to a bunch of like attorneys and got free advice and figured out how to trade, got it approved, did the publication, got the formal everything, and then you have to do a renewal depending on what classes you file for. Like there's certain things you have to submit. And I just thought, I got it. We got it. We're trademarked. Yay. I didn't know. And I missed it. And of course, the owner that has it now swooped in and grabbed it.
oh my gosh. We have to figure out how much money they're making.
No, we do not, because that will take
Because
away
then
my
you would have
JOMO.
FOMO on that. You
That
don't have
will take
FOMO on going
yeah,
out.
that'll take away my JOMO. So anyway, that's my little side note for you, and also
Oh
my
my
plug
gosh.
for like, go get your shit trademarked.
Yeah.
Okay? If your
Okay,
stuff's
good to
not
remind you.
trademarked, go get it trademarked.
Okay, I will trademark it.
And if you need somebody, I can connect you with somebody.
Yeah, I need someone because I don't know what I'm doing.
Nobody does. We only know some things, right? We all need
Yeah,
our help. So
exactly. But
okay, so I'm a JOMO person myself,
yeah.
and I too had postpartum depression, so a little bit different, but a journey nonetheless. And you've always been like, from the second I met you, we talked like immediately on natural holistic medicine.
Mhm.
I don't know if you remember, but we talked about like my son and my daughter was having some like GI issues and stuff like that.
Wait, no, I don't remember.
And anyway, you've always been open about it for as long as I've
Mhm.
known you. And what is something you would say to somebody who's in the thick of it right now,
Of health issues?
of anxiety and depression?
Yeah, so there's being in the thick of it is hard because when you like it's a mindset thing.
Mhm.
I had to figure out and I had to decide myself that I didn't want to be anxious or depressed anymore. That
Yeah.
is a really hard thing to do when you're like actively, depressed. And I don't know why people, like, some people have trauma, they have
Mhm.
experiences, or they have just like gut dysbiosis. But decide for yourself that you want to be truly happy and then act on it. You're not going to come out of depression or anxiety just by sitting there. Like,
Yeah.
I had to work for my happiness. I had some traumatic stuff happen. I got EMDR around that. I did talk
Love
therapy.
that.
I did functional lab testing. So our gut and our brain are very interconnected. I had horrible dysbiosis. Which is an imbalance of good and bad gut bacteria. I basically
Mhm.
had no good bacteria. I had neuroinflammation. So when you have that stuff going on, you cannot get out of a depression. So I truly believe that mental health should have a nutritional component and some kind of
Mhm.
gut healing component. Um, I don't think talk therapy is enough. I have a great amount of respect for it. My mom's a therapist. I
Yeah.
wanted to be a therapist, literally went to grad school for mental health counseling, but I don't think you can't. I mean, I know you can't talk your way out of a candida overgrowth. You can't
Yeah.
talk your way out of neuroinflammation from mold or like you can't talk your way out of like low melatonin and all of
Yeah.
those things are interconnected, and our bodies are so smart. Our
Mhm.
bodies want to be in homeostasis and they want to heal. We just have to give them the tools in order to do so.
Yeah.
So it's a really long answer, but I would just say like
No, I
decide.
yeah, I would say like my takeaway from it is if you're dealing with that, it's not going to hurt in any way to get some blood work done
Yeah.
and perhaps to consider doing it with a holistic practitioner like yourself
Mhm.
because you're going to look at the information differently than
Right.
a traditionally trained doctor would. So
Exactly.
that would be my takeaway. And one of the things I know you're so passionate about that I love is root cause healing.
Hmm.
So, talk to us a little bit about how you got into that, where you kind of start, and anything like you think, like, talk to me like I'm five and I don't know anything.
Okay, so root cause healing is looking at the body as a whole and figuring out what's causing your symptoms with
Mhm.
functional lab testing. So, the functional lab testing, we do blood work, but we look at blood work very differently than your doctor because legally I'm not allowed to diagnose and I don't want to. I,
Yeah.
I honestly, a diagnosis doesn't really help you. It helps doctors put an ICD-10 code and give you a specific
Yeah.
medication, but it doesn't help us figure out why you got that. So the
Hmm.
symptom isn't the problem, it's the result of the problem. And my job is to figure out what got you to that problem. So we look at things like mineral imbalances, B vitamin deficiencies, B vitamins and energy are
Hmm.
so closely linked. If you aren't getting enough B vitamins or minerals, your body can't produce cellular energy. ATP, adenosine triphosphate, and we need ATP for everything. We need it for heartbeat, we need it for talking, we need it for brain function, for digestion. So,
Hmm.
and that is just the basis. There's so many things that can go wrong in your body if you have a nutrient deficiency or heavy metals or mold or candida overgrowth. So what
Yeah.
we do is we look at your whole body through urine testing, blood testing, hair testing, and poop testing,
Yeah.
GI stool map. You have to send your poop to a lab. And then we look at your body as a whole. We don't just like, if you come to us with, migraines, or we work a lot with hypothyroid and Hashimoto's, we don't just look at your thyroid because once again,
Yeah.
your thyroid isn't the problem. Once we have all the lab results back, then we can see a clear picture of what's going on and we can create a protocol to help you get better and like get well and stay well. And that's the thing that's so cool about this. If you change your diet, change your lifestyle, like, detox
Your
from
body will
toxins,
respond.
yeah, your body will
Yeah.
respond and your body wants to heal. I don't believe that we were put on this earth. I think some suffering is good because it builds character and you learn
Sure.
lessons, but like to truly suffer every single day, like I just don't believe we're made to do that. And we can feel better and we can reverse symptoms. You just have to give your body the tools to do so.
Yeah. No, I love that. So how often would you recommend even so like because I feel like especially for overachievers, you can
Mhm.
be like, "No, I feel good. I'm getting all this shit done. I'm
Yeah.
killing it." Right? How often would you recommend getting blood work to just see like, "Hey, is something creeping in?" How often should we be doing that?
Blood work, I think twice a year. Doctors, again, I have a deep respect for doctor. My dad's a surgeon. My grandparents were doctors, but they're looking at
Yeah.
different things. They're looking for to diagnose disease. You don't need
Mhm.
to wait until a disease diagnosis to take action. I think
Yeah.
for high achievers, especially, I mean, burnout is something that I've been through because I'm go, go,
Yep.
go, go. My husband has been getting up. He's a super high achiever, works for Salesforce, like has some huge companies he works with. He was getting up like between 4 and 4:15 And I was like, Craig, you're going to burn out. He literally said to me, what did he say? He was like, I'm not a battery or something. I don't like I don't get burnt or something. He was like he used some analogy. I can't remember what it is now. But he was like, I don't burn out. And guess what? He got really sick and was
Mm-hmm.
in bed for days. And he was like, oh, I'm just sick. And I'm like, no,
You're
like
burnt
your
out.
body is giving you a signal to slow the F down and take care of yourself. Like, and that's the thing. We just push through and we drink more
Mhm.
coffee and we screw our cortisol and our adrenals get screwed up
Yeah.
and we like drinking coffee on an empty stomach is horrible. If you're doing that, stop doing that. Eat breakfast first so that you're not spiking your blood sugar and spiking your cortisol first thing in the morning. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I mean, I think blood work twice a year, a full blood panel, just to make sure everything's in balance. We have a functional blood chem package. It's our services guide is on our website and it's our like lowest cost option. It's just
Yeah.
we analyze your blood work from a functional perspective and then create a protocol based on that. So if you feel good and you're just like interested and you're like, okay, how does this work?
Yeah.
I would say that's a great starting point. If you have like a diagnosed, if you have Hashimoto's or hypothyroid or, PCOS, or you just like don't feel well and you have like something like a diagnosis, I would say you
Yeah.
need like other functional
Functional
labs.
medicine. Yeah.
Yeah, because blood work is just scratching the surface.
Yeah. No, and I mean, I can relate to your husband's story because I had postpartum depression, which led to a hormonal imbalance, which then coupled with stress
Yeah.
and overdoing, I ended up with stage 4 adrenal fatigue. Like I was on the verge, like my doctor was like, you're going to get cancer and die.
Yeah.
Like
Ugh.
it's going to happen. And I ignored it all. I would just told myself, I excused it away. Like I'm busy. I just moved. I have a new baby. I'm a new mom. I own a company. Like, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. And then I freaking dislocated my shoulder in my sleep, Nicole. This
In
bad
your
boy right here.
sleep?
In my sleep. I'm a side sleeper. And I happened to like finally, it was like the stars aligned, but also God was like, I'm going to make sure we fix this chick.
Right.
I had an appointment with a doctor, a neurochiropractic functional medicine, whole thing.
Yeah.
And I walked around for 2 days with a dislocated shoulder because I was like, oh, I'll just deal with it when we get there. And I got in and he's like, your shoulder is dislocated. So let's fix that first. And then
Yeah.
we'll figure out what else is going on.
Oh my gosh. You just
Yeah.
couldn't
So
slow down.
my point is like your body will eventually force you to slow down if
Force
you
you.
don't
Yeah.
listen. So listen so that doesn't happen.
Well, and that's a thing. I mean, that's awful, first of all. I want to acknowledge that. And I'm glad you got help and slowed down.
Yeah.
But symptoms can be scary. And I think some people don't seek help
Mhm.
because they're like, well, I don't want to know. I'm not
Yeah,
interested.
that
I
was
don't want
me.
to find out. But
Mhm.
if you think of symptoms and if you think of like what you find in functional labs as healing opportunities, your mindset around it changes because it's not this like scary, scary thing that you can't fix or address. It's like, okay, what is my body telling me? What nutrients do I need? Like how can I slow down? How can I, you
Yeah.
know, just like calm my nervous system so that my body can go back into balance?
Yeah, well, and that's I worked with functional medicine, so I praise like I'm functional medicine first, but I think there's a place for Western medicine, and I'm grateful
Yeah.
for it. But I'm definitely of the functional first, and that's how we healed it. I was like, I don't want supplements, I don't want pharmaceutical drugs, and we did it with food and supplements and therapy. I did EMDR, I did
Love EMTR.
detox therapy, talk therapy, all the things. And
Mhm.
I do tune-ups, regularly.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, Nicole, tell me, am I doing good? I need to do more blood work. I
We
usually
can
do
help.
once a year, but I'm overdue.
Yeah, I think every 6 months I mean, that's what I do. I do it more, maybe every like
Yeah,
3 or 4 months, but that's because I just have immediate access to it.
sure.
Um, I think it's really important what you just said that you did like supplements and talk therapy and EMDR because it's not just one thing. So a lot of people
Hmm.
think that like they can just take supplements and not address their stress. But
Yeah,
our whole thing is diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction, and supplementation. It's like 5 legs on a table. And if you have a table and one leg falls off, the table falls over, right? So that's
yeah.
the same with your health. Diet is huge. There's so many people that are like, okay, I'm going to therapy and I'm taking all these supplements,
Going to
but
the gym.
going to the gym, exercising. but they're not getting better. And the reason is because they're not addressing nutrition. And I mean, we cannot get better, feel better, healed from depression or anxiety or like literally anything you're dealing with. If you don't address nutrition and blood sugar balance, you're
Mm-hmm.
not going to feel better.
Yeah.
And that's something I just launched a course called Blood Sugar Boot Camp that's super
Mm-hmm.
low cost. I think I don't want to say, I don't even remember how much it is, but less
Don't
than
say
$100.
it.
Because and just I wanted to make it accessible because functional medicine it's expensive and a lot of people
Yeah.
can't afford to do the test. And I just wanted to do something that was affordable and really impactful. And if you can just balance your blood sugar, you're going to have more energy. You're going to sleep better. You're going to have less brain fog. It's not going to, reverse your Hashimoto's, but it's going to lessen flares. Truly life changing. And it's very simple things and really just focusing on fueling your body and just eating
Mhm.
the right foods.
Well, and I think one of the best things is what you already said, which is quit drinking coffee on an empty freaking stomach.
Yeah.
Eat a banana, have some protein, do something
Yes.
get something in there before
Right.
you
Before.
coat it with the caffeine. Like I
Yeah.
love coffee. So
I
that was
love
a hard one for like I was as soon as I wake up like auto programmed like oh I smell it and that's the first thing I'm doing. So that was
it.
a really hard habit to break and to be honest I still do it sometimes, but I try.
And notice how you feel. So we're big on education too with our clients. Like we have a course that people go through and we have people do food and mood journals. And
Mhm.
there's days where like clients will write down, oh, I had coffee and then I ran to school or class or like work or whatever. And then I crashed. And guess what they do when they crash?
They
They
eat
reach
something
for
shitty.
they eat either like processed food, something with like quick carbs, because carbohydrates turn into sugar in our body and that's a quick form of energy. So your body
Mhm.
is smart, right? It's like I'm really tired right now. I need more energy. Give me something that
Yeah.
has sugar in it. Or they go to coffee and then it's just this blood sugar roller coaster. Um,
Mhm.
so it's really just like listening to your body. What is your body telling you? And making simple changes with nutrition first to feel better and have more energy.
I love that. And I love that you put out that course too because it's so helpful and that's one of my pet peeves of our systems here is that like my son he just got broke his nose on Wednesday.
His nose?
Well,
Oh
I
my,
don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure it's broken.
yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I'm going to take him to an ENT, get x-rays, like all the whole nine. But every single pediatric ENT is like, oh, you need a referral first. So I'm like, you're telling me I got to go to my primary care, like, the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's a pet peeve. And my point here is that I think it's great what you're doing because everybody should be able to afford good care
Mhm.
and the type of care that aligns with them.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you're doing that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I wish I could be the labs, all we pay for the labs. They just increase their prices. We're not going to increase our price, but our margin is way lower now. But I'm
Mm.
like, I can't in good conscience like increase our price. And
Oh, I love that.
it was just sad that functional, even just the labs are getting it's a significant $100 each per lab that they're
Mhm.
increasing by. And it is like, it's not covered by insurance
Right.
because, we're not diagnosing or treating.
Yeah.
So I did just want to come up with like a low cost option that, I think should be required. Like, I think every single
It should
person,
be a starting that's I say it all the time, like, blood work should be a starting point,
yeah,
and we shouldn't be reading for, "Are you within range?" We should
right,
be looking at the whole body situation. What's happening with you, and what is your blood work saying?
right.
Like, what are your symptoms, and what is it saying?
Yeah. And wearing a CGM, so that's blood sugar boot camp, like teaches you how to wear a CGM and make changes based off that.
Mhm.
I was diagnosed with PCOS, which so many women are diagnosed
Yeah.
with PCOS. It's like the number one hormone issue for women. And it's insulin resistance driven. And for years, I was like, what? My insulin, A1C, and blood sugar on a blood panel are
Yeah.
amazing. Like my blood sugar was like on the lower end. It wasn't like
Yeah.
too low. So I was just like, what is going on? I changed everything. I eat really healthy. Once I wore a CGM, my blood sugar was so erratic. I've normalized it now, but it was just so eye opening. And it didn't,
Oh, it's like the opposite of what your blood work was showing.
well, because it's real time. And if you think
Yeah.
about it, your blood work, it's
It's
fasting and it's
only a point in time. It's a snapshot.
exactly. So this is just, I mean, it's so eye-opening. We had, I think 50 people do like the live version, and just the results are, I mean, incredible. It was only a month, so it's not like they're like life-changing results, but sleeping better, more energy, weight loss, where,
Yeah.
there's women in their like post-menopausal who couldn't lose weight, who balanced their blood sugar, and they're like, wow, for the first time in 20 years, I actually lost weight, which makes sense because if your body is
Yeah.
always producing insulin, your body's in fat storage mode and literally can't release weight. So it's just,
Oh.
your body's really smart. You just have to break the
Okay, so
code.
everyone that's been nodding and being like, "Oh my god, that's me. Go get the freaking course. Run. Run." We'll put it in the show notes too because everybody needs that course. And speaking of balance,
Mhm.
because balancing your blood sugar and all of the things, you do a lot of stuff. You own Airbnbs, you run your own practice, you're on podcasts, you do all kinds of things. So, give some of the mompreneurs out there that are doing all the things some tips on. I think balance is bullshit, so I'm going to say how you create a harmonious life.
I have a lot of help. My son is in daycare full time. My husband is amazing. We both work from home.
Mhm.
He is like, a high achieving entrepreneur, but he also is a morning person. So he takes my son to daycare in the morning. So I'm really grateful for that. And I have a really good team. I have two practitioners on my team. I think there's 5 people who work for me very, very part time.
Yeah.
I have two main ones. I have a VA. Like, I couldn't get anything done without my VA. She's been with me for 3 years. And the truth is, like, yeah, you can't do it all. So
Oh,
for
that's the
me,
gold. Did you hear that, everyone?
you
The
cannot.
answer is you can't do it all. You must ask for help.
Mm-hmm. So, and I think, social media is fake. Like, we put
Yeah.
all the good stuff on there.
Mhm.
I'm very upfront and honest about like having a team because, I don't work with a ton of clients. I have a cap of 5 clients at a time I can work with. Anything over that, I'm overwhelmed. I can't run my business. I can't promote my business. I can't run the Airbnbs.
Mhm.
And even the Airbnbs, we have an amazing cleaning lady who is like part of our family. She's cleaned our house for years. I love her. Her daughter's our babysitter. And she basically runs them. Like, we obviously
Yeah.
run, the back end and like the software and like talking
Sure.
to clients, but I haven't been there in like a couple months. So just finding really good people and then treating them well and taking care of them. I think you have to be a good boss to like, I love my employees. I'm always like, they're all 1099, so technically not employees, but I'm always just like telling them how appreciative I am of them. And I think that's really
Mhm.
important. Like, you can't treat people like shit and expect them to stay
Mm-mm.
around.
Yeah, you gotta be a good human for sure.
Mhm.
Okay, I love that. And the takeaway, everybody, is get the help. Go
Yeah.
get the help with your health. Get the help with running your life. Don't
Mhm.
look at Instagram and think that, oh my gosh, how is she doing everything? She's not doing everything. She has help,
Yeah. I
right?
have a lot of help. Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so one of the things that I love to do with my guests is I love to celebrate a piece of magic that's happened in your life this week because I feel like as entrepreneurs, we're always like on to the next thing and we don't necessarily sit down and celebrate the small wins. So what's something that happened to you this week that we can all give a nice clap as we're listening to this to celebrate you?
Well, my plants sprouted.
Yeah. That's worthy. I love it.
That's like a little personal thing. I've been like growing a garden and the plant sprouted. So that's like the making me the happiest in the world. But
Mhm.
this quarter is the biggest quarter I've ever had in business in like my entire life. And I told you, but I was having like fertility stuff and like dealing
Yeah.
with a lot the past
Mhm.
3 months. So I've actually worked the least I've ever worked in my life the past
Yep.
3 months because I was really focusing on like health and fertility.
Mhm.
And I still had my biggest quarter ever. So I'm really, really proud of that. And I was talking to, Laura Conley. She runs
Yeah,
a,
yeah.
yeah,
Love
Yummy
her.
Yummy.
She's amazing.
She's great. So I was talking to her and she's like, this just proves like you don't have to
Mhm.
hustle and burn out. And it's really just like being consistent. I have a
Mhm.
social media person. So like, I don't have to be on social media all the time. She's posting, and creating posts, but and I have funnels, I have email marketing, all that stuff is
Yeah.
already set up so that you're top of mind because people aren't going to buy from you if they don't know who you are.
Yeah. Yep.
Um, But that was really, I mean, I looked at my numbers today. I was like, oh my gosh. And I lessened my expenses too, which is, I thought you would be proud.
I'm so proud of that. I'm proud of all of it, honestly, because that's one of my favorite things to help entrepreneurs do is get more by doing less.
Yeah.
Because we, especially our age range, like we were conditioned in hustle culture. And
Yes.
so it's breaking those frameworks and
Mhm.
those stories that we tell ourselves, but and it's leveraging systems. Like everything that you just said that allowed you to do that comes back to systems.
I
Systems
love
are who
them.
you're working with, your
Mhm.
VA, your team, your funnels, like having that all prepped. And so if you're willing to put in the work to create the systems, you can have the same outcome as Nicole. You can do more with less, make more, lower your expenses, which is my favorite thing, getting rid of money leaks as your money queen. And that's amazing and something so important to celebrate and
Thank
to
you.
look at and be proud of.
You
So
know, it's
kudos
weird
to
though. I'm
you.
like more proud of my plants,
The
which is like
plants.
the weirdest thing ever. I'm like, wait, I should be really proud of that quarter. Like, it's a huge number. I'm like, I've never seen this number in my life, but for some reason, and it's great because I used to get valid. My self worth used to be
Hmm.
how much I made. That was my self
Yeah.
worth.
Yeah.
And now
Same.
it's just changed.
Hmm.
Which I think is pretty like great.
But you know what? The reason why the plants are more exciting to you than the big number and the fact that you did more with less is because of that.
Yeah.
Because your worth is authentic now. Like your worth is defined by you, not
Right.
outside validation.
Right. Yeah. It's internal validation. And that
Yeah.
couldn't have happened until I made that decision to be happy, healthy, and successful. Like going back to that, like you just have to decide and then you have to work towards it because nothing comes easy. Like you have to go to work for it.
Yeah, you have to take action.
Mhm.
Okay, so you have to tell us because you gave us so much good today, and everybody should balance their blood sugar at a minimum. So tell us the best place to find you and to connect, and we'll put it in the show notes too. So if you're walking or driving or whatever while you're listening to this, it'll be in there for you. But tell us where we can connect with you.
Perfect. So we have a website, ritterfunctionalhealth.com. You can download our services guide, and then our blood sugar boot camp is just directly on there. And then on Instagram, I'm Nicole Ritter Health. And I respond to every single DM, maybe not immediately, but it is me, not a robot or anything. So yeah, feel free to message me. We do free discovery calls. It's either, depending on the availability, it's either me or my lead practitioner, Nikki, who works for me. But we love chatting with people about, getting to the root cause and how we can help you.
Amazing. Okay, everybody go give her a follow, balance your blood sugar,
Yes.
and continue to make magic. Thank you so much for sharing your magic with us today. It
Thank
was so
you.
nice to have you.
I appreciate it.
So grateful to Nicole and the magic moments that she dropped for us. My biggest takeaways were number one, to balance your blood sugar. I realized that this is such a big one for so many of us and will help relieve a lot of the symptoms like brain fog, fatigue. It's something that we should all do because it helps create longevity in our life and I believe truly buys us more years. The second big takeaway I had from Nicole is the importance of taking action for yourself and choosing to make a change that will lead to more happiness. So if you are feeling ready to feel better in your body, in your business, in your life, please go follow Nicole and check out Ritter Functional Health. We've linked everything in the show notes for you. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone else that it can help. We will see you next week. And remember, there is always magic in the mess.